Hey, welcome to Thursday of Holy Week. Jesus has been really busy. He said some incredible things. And as we come to Thursday night, this is the night that he's going to institute the Lord's Supper, that he's going to be betrayed, that the famous prayer in the garden, not my will but yours be done. Just an amazing time as his ministry has kind of come to its culmination, and his time before his crucifixion as well. So, what's his priority? What's the last thing he wants to leave his followers with? Well, you have in John 13 a description that says that it was the meal, it was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I've done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, I've set you an example that you also should wash one another's feet. No servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you'll be blessed if you do them." My wife's trying to teach my granddaughter how to sew. And so, there's only much you can say. She described the sewing machine and how it works and the kinds of things that you can do if you know how to sew, but that's not how you learn how to sew. She set Emily down and she showed her, what do you do to sew? And then she gave Emily the material, and Emily herself is starting to use it and get some experience doing it. And they're working on a project together, and Emily will have a big part in it. That's how you learn how to sew. We need to learn by doing things. I had a friend who a few years ago decided that he wanted to become a minister, and God was calling him to serve as Jesus serves. And so he came to me and he asked me, what is the one task in your church that nobody wants to do? And so I said, well, changing the sign. Changing the sign is a thankless task. We had that sign for the first 25 years I was here. And you would take these thick, stiff plastic letters and arrange them in the right order and go out there with a ladder and go up and unlock and open it and take these letters and put them in and slide them into place. And it might be raining, it might be cold, it might be hot. It's definitely uncomfortable. The ladder might be sinking into the ground because it's so muddy, and you change out the sign. He did that for years. That's appropriate. On Sunday mornings, we have to get this wall out so we can have class in the back and in the front. So I love to see our elders helping with that, as well as anyone else. You're never overqualified to do whatever needs to be done. When I was 23 years old, I just graduated from college. I knew how to delineate a pericope of an ancient's text. I knew how to do exegesis to some level at least. I knew how to evaluate and choose curriculum and teach classes and preach sermons, and I had some experience doing all of those things. But the big part of my job as youth minister out in West Texas was to change the sign. We had one of those signs that had those thick plastic letters, and we had a long pole with a suction cup on the end, and the sign was way up. And so I would get all the letters, and you would have to slap that suction cup against one of those signs and lift it way up in the West Texas wind and try to install it on that sign, and they'd go flying down the street half the time. That was my job. The other part of my job was I had to carry tables and chairs across the street to our fellowship hall and set them up and carry them back. I was 23. I could do those things, and they weren't above my pay grade, you know? I wasn't too good to do those things. I had to learn how to serve if I was going to be a minister. So Jesus is trying to teach his apostles how to serve. How do you represent me to the world? What kind of person will you be? You need to say all these things. You need to believe all the things, but you need to be willing to get down on your knees and wrap a towel around your waist and wash each other's feet if you're going to be my disciples. I think it's a beautiful lesson. There's so many important things that Jesus did and said, especially this Holy Week. It's like time just slows down, and it's just chock full of amazing things that Jesus said and did. So what do you want to do on your last day? What do you want your last day to look like? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Jesus chose to leave a legacy where you wash the disciples' feet. God bless you.